Welcome back, guys. After the entire thing of the tournament of Euros, we are back with Roshan, PC, and me, Amir Panse here with you for having a small season review of last season and what changes we are expecting into the coming season. And with that thing coming to the topic, we have distributed these things into like progress, manager, players, and the competition. So talking about manager, so I'll firstly go towards the because like I haven't seen like Ole out from either of my two co-hosts, so I'll definitely go to PC first,
Fuck
asking
all
about
outers.
so what are your thoughts about Ole from the last season, PC?
I think he's come a long way, man. Very, very long way. The way he started off as a manager who he started as a temporary manager. He wasn't even a manager, and there were doubts about his job and everything. And then people are doubting his contract again. I think this contract shows what the club believe that the club believes in him and what it means. It's a sign of respect for him. People are saying he should have won a trophy, then he would have been given. No, man, that's not how the new football works. Fuck you and fuck your opinion of that. He deserved that contract right now,
Come
and he
on, you
got it.
cannot be
Good.
that rude to Ole
He
outers
earned it.
as well. So
Sure,
come on.
he lost the Europa League final. We all are still hurting. I can understand your feelings, but I mean, come on. There has been progress in every aspect, in terms of players, in terms of formation, in terms of our purchases, in terms of the culture around the club. He shaped the club properly. He's bringing back Sir Alex's ideologies into the club. It is a complete modern approach to playing. The way we play, it's been entertaining. Sure, there were a few games last season where he was on the defense. He's trying to nick points here and there, but we finished second, man. What the fuck do you want?
Yeah, yeah, fair
He'll win
enough.
us
Like,
trophies, but it is very unfair to say that he should have won a trophy, then he should have been given the contract. No, that's not how it works.
no, it's
That's
always
really
about
not how
ifs
it
and
works.
buts when you come to the anything. Like, if you do this, then only you will get. Yeah, definitely, I agree to the point which you are
It's
saying.
not
Like,
that.
it doesn't work like that. Like, it will. It's kind of a boost for him. It's a morale boost, to be honest. Specifically, I want to say, because like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
will definitely
I
give
think
him
not
the
just
push.
for I think not just for Ole, for the entire squad as well, because for the past 2.5 years, this whole team has been focused on revolving around one idea. Finally, once again, that Manchester United has to stick together no matter what. The players need to fight for the manager needs to fight for the players. We haven't had that sort of real camaraderie, that real team spirit in quite a while. Like, we haven't had a single sort of, what can I say? Obviously, there were previous managers who came in and they did their job well, but when their backs were against the wall, they decided to, it's harsh to say that maybe they threw players under the bus, but things
But
just
they
didn't
did.
really, in some ways you could say. But I feel that it wasn't really a united team. The team
Yeah,
wasn't united when they needed to be.
yeah, fair
So
enough.
for the shortcomings that Ole has had in his reign, we agree. We're going to talk about them. But the main thing that Manchester United has is that word, united. They need to stick together. And throughout Ole's reign, I haven't seen a single sign of that ever cracking,
Yeah.
even when the things got tough.
Things about the Ole which I was talking about were like four. I have four speaking points, like which you two will also agree to be heard, because we had a decent gameplay, because we have seen Ole do not having the preseason going around with him, because we didn't have the preseason. We just had a single close a match behind the closed doors, which was also made of us about last time around. So that is like the decent gameplay which is expected in this coming season. The second thing which I like to talk about is the lack of variation in tactics, which is the biggest thing. Like, I was expecting Ole to work around something by the end of October, November, and pushing the formation from 4-2-3-1 to at least a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3, which there was a like we could have used fresh Matic in one odd game to push that 4-3-3 game going around. But things didn't turn out well for that plan. And the
Especially
last
at the end, yeah.
and there is definitely a significant room of improvement which we can see in the upcoming season. And the last point which definitely I would like to focus is the substitution, which is the biggest issue going throughout the season. And
Only
I
valid for 1 or 2 games. It's been made a huge fuss about. Please shut the
I
fuck up.
no
I
no no
think
You
it's
it's
can't
not
always,
go
because
against the
in my
flow
opinion,
of the
I just want to
game
say,
every time.
in my opinion, I feel like, yes, it's been a slightly overblown issue, especially when you consider the fact that Manchester United substitutes have actually scored the most out of any club substitutes in the league, I think.
Definitely.
So there's been a huge contribution from there. But that's, in my opinion, that's kind of taken 1-0 wins to 2-0 or 3-0 wins, in my opinion.
exactly correct.
So with certain ways to shift the momentum, like in the Europa League final, we were crying
We
out
didn't
for it.
always have quality on the bench, man. People abuse
That's
Daniel
one thing
James
which
when he comes on.
that's one thing I
No,
do
that's
agree
a
with. But
debate
I
for
do
another
feel
day.
that rolling the dice, I do feel like if things are just staying stagnant, I do feel it doesn't hurt to roll the dice a bit.
Absolutely.
If
If it
And
is
if
I
if the
if
think
if
game
you're
Ole
gonna
is
did
get the
come
full
out and say Ole did come out and say that he doesn't want to go against the flow of the game and make substitutions. He
that's
has tried to
yeah,
justify.
that's a bit of a reservation in
the
my
statement
opinion.
you have put it upon, like that doesn't make sense in this context, because like when you see the game, the final, it was like the teams were level and you required that something, you should
It
have
just kept on
thrown the
going.
dices onto the game. It exactly, there
Just
was
kept
no
going,
heartbeat in that
like,
thing.
yeah. But anyway,
So
that's all done and dusted. We've taken our lessons
Yeah,
from that.
yeah, it's a new
We know
absolutely.
season.
exactly
Fuck you,
what to
man.
do.
Don't talk about the final. What final? Fuck off.
When we talk about finals, we're going to talk about them when we win them, because I do feel we are
Yeah,
going to
Absolutely,
win some
absolutely.
this season.
Go through the competitions and how we proceeded and what were the progress, or like what were the finishing positions about that. So talking about the first thing is the Premier League. So looking at the stats, we finished second, which is the one of the great achievement, to be honest, because there was tremendous hate which Ole got before the start of the season, because I have seen people talking about Everton. Everton will eat us like after that 4-0
yeah.
season. Before that, a couple of guys
That's
on
definitely
a
not inspired by one of our conversations on the group talk.
definitely,
Don't worry.
definitely, definitely. Because like I have a couple of people who are going Ole out throughout the season since the start of the last first match, and it was Crystal Palace, if I'm not, where we lost lost the thing, and people went like crazy, like Everton will eat us and what not. I have seen like put it
Yeah,
down the
that
throat
first
and
six,
shove it
those
up the
first six
ass. To
games
be
were
honest,
terrible.
Ole hit us out. Come on, man. You cannot expect every possible thing to work out whatever you have dreamt about in your life, and also in onto the football field. So keep the opinions for yourself and show it up the ass again, I say. So to be honest, like it's the joint second highest since 2013 when Saf left. Yeah, there was Mourinho as well, but I'm not talking about that because he's no more our manager, and he also got sacked from the next team as well, and he's having his like retirement times in Italy kept apart. Okay, so but I definitely feel there is a scope of a hell lot of improvement when it comes to the Premier League, because like we are not able to maintain a fortress which is Old Trafford, and it is the biggest downfall in from the last season is what I feel. So what do you think, uh, Roshan? Because like we were the leaders of the charts in the months of January and December. So what are your
I
thoughts
think,
about that?
yeah, that was crazy. Like we had that really bad first few games of the season, but then our away form especially has been unreal. Like, true, our home form hasn't been exactly the most spectacular of things to talk about, and that's one thing that I really hope that Solskjaer will finally get to fix in the coming season. But contributing to that, to us getting up to the top, was the fact that we could go anywhere else in England, and laying waste might be a bit of a strong term, but we were confident all the time,
Yeah.
and uh, all of the games that we played, like we ended up on top. Even in the draws, we were okay. And yeah, like you said, we ended up on top. And like by the time the new year came, whether that could be down to the other teams kind of faltering at the beginning, you could say that's one of the issues. But the fact of the matter was, we kept it going up until then, at least. And yeah, and afterwards, it was just about staying at the top. And obviously, that was when City managed to get a quite extraordinary mid-season run. They didn't end their season well as well, but by that time they had already secured the title. But for us to start quite badly, then elevate ourselves all the way to the standard where we all started to think, wait, could it really happen again? Could this actually happen for the first time? It's a huge credit on Ollie's part in one way, but then
Yeah,
there are also things that he needs to improve to just push
definitely,
us over the line.
definitely. And like to put the bottom line for the Premier League thing is like the points which we dropped actually are from the second half of the table, like Sheffield United, West Brom, Crystal Palace, Fulham. So the 8 to
There was
9
some bad
points
losses in there,
drop
yeah.
was definitely like we could have closed the gap little more to City. Like we could have pushed the, like they were definitely winning the titles with the 15 matches run and also, but we could have at least pushed them to a little further when it comes to getting the title and whatever the stuff around. And the couple of fall of like the downfalls of this was the depth matter to the like to the progress or whatever we have been seeing for the season. But definitely we had a couple of fittest members in the team, and especially Bruno, the impact he had throughout the season. And we cannot like the words are very less to appreciate his contribution to towards the team in the last season. And talking about the contributions and the cup competition, that is the Carabao Cup. So there is a small trivia going around there. So that is the out of the last four, two times in a row we were knocked out by the same team, that is Man City. And this time it is, I guess we are in out from semis, right?
Yeah, both
Yeah,
times we
yeah.
got knocked out in the semis.
Yeah. So in the progression which we see, like it was the we had a pretty decent run because it was Luton, followed it by Brighton, then Everton. Which Everton was a decent opponent, and then it was City game, if I'm not wrong. And the City
Yeah,
game, they maintained a clean sheet of 2-0 at Old Trafford. That was a hurting point. So
Yeah.
that is definitely thing to be talked around. But
I think
it's
it
okay.
was also the scheduling around that game. We were very tired, and City flexed all their fucking squad depth. That it
That's the
was
thing,
just
right?
written.
With what I hate to say is that with Manchester City, we could talk all the time about how they spend money to get players. We talk all the time about, the fact that people just come to them willy-nilly. But that's the main thing of a champion team and one that wants to compete on all fronts.
Yeah.
They have the squad to to contend with heavy rotations, with congested schedules and whatnot. And
But
that's
the
the main point as to why
Pep
they
versus
succeeded.
Ole debate continuously goes on, but it sounds to be irrelevant when you check the squads and also the abilities of the manager and also going around there. So
That's the
It's
thing.
also
That's the
about
thing with Ollie as
experience,
well,
right?
because that's one thing I want to point out as well. Because I feel that that's what Ollie is trying to do with this team as well. He wants to compete on all fronts. He doesn't
yeah,
just want to settle for the smaller victories. He wants the bigger titles as well. In fact, I think we'll talk about this later, but our quarterfinal defeat to Leicester City was the first time we had ever gone out in the quarterfinals under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in his permanent reign at the very least. Because obviously, I think in the European
it
competitions,
was
I
the
think
FA Cup,
Barcelona
right?
we were knocked
The
out.
knockout you're talking about.
Hmm?
It
Yeah,
was the
yeah,
FA Cup, right?
Yeah, the FA Cup,
yeah,
the
yeah.
FA Cup against
Yeah,
against Leicester
talking
this
about
time
like
round.
yeah, we definitely finished in the quarters, and Leicester put it the final nail in the coffin. But only the point of attraction for this tournament was that like it was the free kick from the super sub which came on against Liverpool, and it was none other than Bruno Fernandes to go around there.
Absolute cracker, absolute cracker.
The
Like we
banger
just
from the
didn't.
short range, it broke through the wall and it was ending into the net. And that was the only focus light which I felt was there in the tournament. And like these two two tournaments which we talked about, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, the teams which we lost to have end up winning the tournament. That is also stat which is going around. So
If
nice.
anything, we're a lucky charm for these guys, but we need to be a lucky charm
Yeah,
for
yeah,
ourselves.
definitely, definitely. And
I
moving on
think
to
we should be
like
challenging for these trophies this season.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
definitely.
These two at
That's
least.
one
silverware
thing we need to
which
have.
can reflect into the
Yeah,
cabinets, definitely.
yeah.
And like I'll like UCL and the Europa are the next two things which I would put a little bit light on, but I'm definitely not asking you people to put the lights up because it definitely hurts and deep down the heart when we talk about the round exit from the UCL, because it was definitely not what we were expecting, because we defeated PSG, we defeated RBL, And then came that loss at
Against
Başakşehir. So
Istanbul, that was
that
crazy.
was
Like I
a
don't,
very hurting
The
moment.
team we
none
can't
of us,
pronounce.
none of us expected that. I
And
was
on the
very like I just want to point out. I think in that game where we lost against Başakşehir, it was I think the first big test for Donny van de Beek on the European stage because
yeah,
he was put in the pivot along with Scott McTominay. I do feel that contributed to it in some way or other because one of the goal, like the first goal that we conceded was off a corner. It was the counter attack. It was the higher line. That can be like that's not I think on their blame. But the second one, I feel they they took advantage of a lot of space that we had given and
and
just unfortunate
you're
for them.
talking about Van de Beek and the questions which the two questions which were raised, and definitely I'm coming to the point, but I'll highlight that at the end of the thing. I'll just wrap this tournament first, so we'll talk about those 2 points. For that is more focused towards Ole. So yeah, so the group stage exit and on the return legs, it was definitely Nagelsmann, and that time it was Tuchel, right, for PSG.
Yeah, took over
Yeah, who got the
PSG.
better of Ole that time around on the return legs, and we gradually ended up into the Europa. And talking about Europa, it was our tournament to be lost. Actually, it was like the uh, when we talk about the progression, only I guess it was a beautiful journey which only got a dent against it was AC Milan,
Yeah,
which we had a little bit difficulty to
a bit of a
face. And
wobble, and that's for sure. I remember the first game in the first leg, like that first half was crazy for AC Milan. I swear they could have really posed a challenge there, but luckily we came back into it and we dominated from there on.
uh, just like you said, it was like just a crazy moment. But talking about the crazy moments, the final actually lacked the humdrum which we all expected, to be honest. What do you feel, right? So because like the penalty
Definitely.
shootout was a heartbreak moment, and the DDG blunder, oh my god, the fan base went
I'll tell
rampage
you. I'll
when
tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing. We were confident about that final all the way until a few days before, when it was confirmed that Harry Maguire would not play.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think. I think with how much Maguire like offered to the team, especially his personal
I think
season,
it was evident how much we missed him back then, and his importance
incredibly
was,
evident.
yeah,
Incredibly, because personally, I felt he was up there in terms of the candidates for Player of the Year because the way his season started in preseason, he had that crazy moment in Greece. Then he faltered quite a bit along with the team, and then he just rocketed, man. He just rocketed.
absolutely,
Like,
absolutely. And
yeah.
like talking about the players, you as you mentioned, like the three, I would say four best players out of the last season. I feel like do you want to name those, one of those at least, each? Like PC, can you just go for one? I'll wrap it up with Roshan one, and I'll go for one more. Who do you feel like we had the best players in the last season? One name, just one.
Best player.
Yeah.
I think Luke Shaw was one of them, definitely.
Okay.
And
100%, completely.
another player who we didn't value as much as a fan base was Marcus Rashford.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The
Like
man played
That's
no,
that's
no. But
down
64
to
to be
the
honest,
games
like
combined
I would.
for United, and
Roshan,
I
what do
think
you
his
think?
contribution was big enough. Right after Bruno, in terms of goals, I think it was Marcus Rashford, and we need to appreciate that.
certainly like he is a brilliant player, and especially like he said across the season. I think maybe like half the season at the very least he was fighting injuries, which is unreal
Yeah,
for him to drop a 30 GA season while carrying an iffy shoulder and a bum ankle, which is unreal. Thankfully, he's finally doing his surgery. We wish him all the best, and
yeah,
yeah, mid October or the end of October, we'll survive without him. We will survive. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But when he comes
So
in and that final piece comes in, we're good. I'd like to talk about Harry Maguire. Obviously, we had such a great campaign throughout this past season, and we were really close, I feel. And probably, I think, just to the very worst moments, he got injured before the UEL final, like we talked about. And obviously, that impact was like it was very easily seen, and especially the way he's come up from where he started the season. He's improved defensively, he's improved in his ball progression, and he's improved especially in his leadership. So I believe he's definitely one of the top players throughout the season. What about you, man?
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. There is some British blood going around, and there is some Mancunian thing going around from PC. But I would definitely go with the Portuguese Magnifico, and it is Bruno Fernandes. You cannot keep that man away from being the best player of the season. And yeah, he has been the main thing, and the team revolved around it, I would say, because we had missed the creativity when Pogba was getting injured before the season, like before Bruno arrived, and there was lack of creativity when we talk about McTominay and Fred, and so we needed someone who can relieve Pogba and give him a little bit of freedom, and you can say unlock there. So you can give him a little bit of freedom to move around, and it was definitely Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, you can talk about penalties and also, but we have seen players missing out penalties also in the past, and it's not
In the
easy
past
to
month
be,
alone.
and we
Yeah.
cannot be that naive enough to decline the quality of that player. So definitely, and two appreciations which I would like to be like to give is, one is definitely the left back Roberto Carlos, and the second is the signing of Edison Cavani. Oh my God, the impact which he has been providing in the absence of Anthony Martial. So because we had been lacking that poacher in front of the goal, who has been there in the box, who has been collecting the balls from the other players and delivering into the net. Yeah, he definitely missed out few opportunities and also, but that is that is for another day. Two things which I would specifically mention out, because like Anthony Martial started the season with a very huge thing. Like he went for a hat trick, and then he was injured, and then uh, there were memes and there was snaps, pics, the GIFs going around where Anthony Martial was standing still onto the field, and Edison Cavani coming from behind, going around, just collecting the ball around him. And definitely Rashford and Martial linking is the thing which Martial looks up for the game, and that was the missing thing for him. And I am personally not in favor of Anthony Martial as a player, as a striker for a club like
Doesn't matter,
Manchester
man.
United.
He's still going to start 20 odd games this season.
Come on. We'll see that throughout
I
the
think
season.
with
We'll keep
I
it for
think
the next
look,
time.
I do think with Martial, yeah, last season was bad, but we need to remember he was the 1920 player of the year as well. So
Yeah,
when he can
definitely.
play, he can definitely play.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's slight attitude issues we've seen before, but I do feel that we just need to keep our patience with him as
But
well.
the competition around
E-
the team matters a lot. Like so,
Exactly,
if
exactly.
Cavani is
With
not going to
Cavani
start
coming in,
30
Cav-
games.
I don't. Yeah, I
He's
don't
not.
think so. I
He's
don't
he's
think
going
so
to play
either.
maximum 25 games this season.
yeah,
Exactly, that
Marshall is
rotation is
going to
going to
get
be
his
key.
chance, especially with Rashford out for the first 2 months. He's going
Yeah,
to have one. I think this has to be his last chance at United
fair
because
enough,
next
maybe,
fair
season we
enough.
need
maybe.
to get a little bit of the money back if he doesn't perform. And if
And
he
with the
does,
likes of and yeah,
imagine Marshall performing this season, dude. We
that
don't
would be.
need
It would be a
a
redemption. It
100
would be
million
a
striker
redemption.
next season. We won't need that. It solves a lot of problems for us. So I'm hoping Marshall kicks in. But
Yeah,
definitely he was one of our worst players last season.
fair enough, fair enough. And talking about the worst, I'll just put the bottom line to the thing. The worst thing which we have seen in the last season is the
Fred,
no. It's not just that. It's the pairing of McTominay and Fred, because like McTominay as a, like, we have seen them playing as a sole players differently and playing with each other differently. So that is definitely a worst thing, because it's making us a man down honestly onto the field, because they are not providing much about from that defensive midfielder roles. There is legit no creativity, because we have tried Fred in Pogba role in his absence. We have tried McTominay as a box to box, which he flourished. But considering as a defensive midfielders, I do not prefer them playing together, or even rather into the team. But we do not have options going into the season next, unless we sign a defensive midfielder, which we'll be talking about in the next recording. So as of now, these are the two pros and cons. And to wrap it up for the next season, for the top four, for a couple of silverwares, and we never know what is there into the treasure pack season which
We are
is loading.
almost there. I do feel we are almost there.
I
Just a
can
few
see, I
more
can read
pieces of
on
the
the face of
puzzle.
PC that he's expecting a title there, but it's okay even if we are not winning the title, PC. But
21 is coming.
no,
21 is coming, 4 is coming,
keep the
12
hopes
is
alive.
coming for the
Back the
FA Cup.
manager. Keep the
Let's
hopes
go.
alive. Back the manager. And with that, we are wrapping up with this recording or the video. And one update from our side, from the Voices of the Devils, that we'll be posting up a small sequence of videos regarding the Fantasy Premier League, which will have a background voice from Roshan Sarvananan and a couple of what we can say transitions and the videos going from PC side, and which won't be a long video, which will be a short 1 minute video. So do keep looking out for the updates from there. With that, I'm signing off with my co-host Roshan.